The Broncos have a golden opportunity after an insane but also really hard to watch win over the Jets. We're looking to bounce back after a win towards the Giants back at home against a team that's on the up and up. But the Broncos themselves are also looking to fix a lot of mistakes going into this thing. I'm Sebastian from Broncos Digest. I have Mark joining me with also Broncos Digest. How are we doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Excited to get on here and get a little bit of a pre-game vid going on.
Yeah,
Big game this weekend.
yeah,
Exciting for the Broncos to be back at home. They've only had 2 home games so far this season.
yeah.
And after a long trip from Denver to Philly to London for a week and then
Uh-huh.
all the way back to Denver,
Yep.
they're back at home. They're in their own beds. They're under their own roofs. And I think that's going to make a huge difference as far as their performance at the Mile High, in the Mile High City for the next few weeks. So super
Absolutely.
excited for this weekend and excited to get to break the game down with you today.
Of course, yeah. I mean, kind of weird because Sean Payton mentioned that they requested the London game and that they
Yeah,
didn't want a bye after the London game. They said they didn't want it. So listen, I mean, you could say that you're digging your own grave during that whole process, but if we get wins during both of those weeks, then who's going to complain? And I mean, the Giants, like we said, formidable. They just beat the Eagles, beat them down quite handily, and kind of made our win against them not look as good. But at the same time, okay, if we beat the Giants, then all's good, all ends well. So it's a really interesting game to break down. I'm really just interested to see what we have to say, what our worries are, what our positives are going into this. Speaking of which, why don't we just jump right into the injury report from today, which is Thursday on October 16th. There's a really interesting tidbit here. So Nick Bonito, full participation. Alex Singleton, full participation. Jonathan Cooper, limited, and Dre Greenlaw, limited, but he did participate. And then Jonah Ellis does not look like he'll be playing this week. But Dre Greenlaw is the story here that Zach Stevens reported. He has now practiced for a second straight day, a really good sign. This is really, really encouraging news. I got to ask, how are we feeling about this news that, I mean, he's been taken off IR, he's practicing, there's a chance that he's going to play in a limited circumstance, but, how are we feeling about this?
I mean, it's really exciting. I mean, he was one of the most exciting additions for the Broncos in the offseason, getting him from the San Francisco 49ers. And that excitement essentially deflated almost immediately when he wasn't able to play in the season opener.
Yeah,
And then he was placed on injured reserve. So the fact that he's out there, limited participation in practice, it's a huge step in the right direction for an already dominant Broncos defense. And the most exciting aspect of having him back is we've already got arguably the top defense in the league and the top pass rush in the league. What does adding him do to that defense? How much better is it going to be? This might be a crazy take, but you could also make the argument, does it mess with the system that they already have? And does it mess with what Vance Joseph is preaching and what he's putting out there from a defensive coaching standpoint? I don't think that's the case, but it's also worth noting
sure.
what adding him to that defensive system is going to look like. I do not think he's going to play this weekend. I think they're going to err on the safe side and let him get just full, completely 100% right and ready to go.
Okay.
Probably we'll see him play for the first time against the Cowboys in the week following, but I think a really, really good step in the right direction for him getting almost game ready, and he's going to be a huge addition for our defense in the near future.
That's the interesting part is that we have been so good on defense this season that it's like Dre Greenlaw takes it to another stratosphere. So there's no need to rush him though back. It's like, listen, we've got the fort. We can hold the fort while you get healthy, while you get ready. We will deal with this game. We will figure it out. It's really more offensively, can we get things together so that we're not just competitive, but we're dominating? Because this Denver team has the personnel to do it. We have great coaching staff, but the real question is, do we have what's right for our quarterback, Bo Nix? There's a huge question mark after the Jets game. Okay, what's going on with Bo, or is it a question of Bo Nix versus Sean Payton? Where are the struggles happening right now? Because 3 quarters of the Eagles game did not look very good, but that fourth quarter was arguably one of the best of Bo Nix's career. It was amazing. So that we're now wondering, okay, first quarter with the Jets, then versus the last 3 quarters, you're like, golly, what am I watching here? It's really up and down, very frustrating to watch. But if we can unlock this aspect of the team, I don't see a team that can beat the Denver Broncos, or at least the team that the Broncos should be scared of going forward, because this is a point in the season where, listen, not everything is set in stone. We're still only a third of the way through. I do think there's still things that they can improve on and fix. It doesn't mean that that's going to be what it looks like in the playoffs. But what are you thinking right now about the offense? How are you feeling about Bo Nix and Sean Payton?
Well, I have to say, I mean, the two primary points that you made, I absolutely agree with both of them. I think looking at the Eagles game, it was a rough start, but it turned into one of his most dominant performances of his career
Yeah.
in the NFL. And I think that stands out alone as when you think about what Bo Nix is trying to become. He's trying to become this new franchise quarterback, the next Peyton Manning,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. His ability to turn a game around and completely flip the script with only one quarter left, that has franchise quarterback written all over it. And if he's able to take that skill level and take that poise in the pocket and put it towards games in the future, that's exactly what we're looking for out of a quarterback like Bo Nix. Obviously, he wasn't able to do it in the Jets game, but I think the theme of the season so far through 6 weeks has been offensive struggles, and the defense has been able to pull us out of these fires. But I think looking forward, Bo Nix is finally starting to look like he's settled in to this NFL season. I would say that last week, Bo Nix wasn't really the primary problem against the Jets. I think it was more of the play calling and a more broad offensive struggle than just Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix was on point. He was making pretty smart plays. He just didn't have the personnel to back it up in that specific game. And I think that the play calling from Sean Payton was definitely questionable, to say the least. I hope that he switches that up a little bit and has a little bit more of a standard plan against a frisky New York Giants team that we've got coming up this weekend. But I think that this offense has reached the point in the season where certain aspects of it are starting to gel together. Everything just needs to click all at once now, and I'm really hoping that we see that this weekend against the Giants. Bo Nix is starting to finally get into his groove. We've got some consistent depth in the wide receiver room. We've got Evan Ingram finally starting to look like a tight end with a lot of targets and a lot of success at that position. I think everything's going to come together, and it's going to look really strong against the Giants this weekend.
I definitely agree. I think the Broncos are due for an offensive explosion, and we know that they're capable of it. We saw it last year with less talent on the team. It's not like the NFL all of a sudden figured out Sean Payton and Bo Nix. We know that they have that under their belt, and then they can do it. They have it ready to go. It's just a matter of, can you perform? Can you execute these plays? Is Sean Payton calling the right plays at the right times? Or there's been also some discussion over Denver radio of like, are we making the play calling too complicated? Is the call sheet too complicated? Maybe we need to simplify it. Yeah, and I do think, not that Bo Nix can't handle complicated play calls, but it's the rest of the team, like you said, that maybe it's a bit too much for them to really absorb. And if you really start to narrow down what you're looking for on run plays and passing plays, that it actually helps the team rather than limits them. So I do think that's totally a thing. But you mentioned a funny challenge with the Giants, that they're an interesting team because they're in a bit of a transition mode. They're trying to figure out, is their coach the right one? Is their GM the right one? Is their quarterback the right one? Because Russell Wilson was recently benched after he faced the Chiefs and looked awful. We know plenty about Russell Wilson play as Broncos fans. But now it is Jackson Dart's team. They skipped the Jameis Winston part, and now Dart has played 3 games. He beat the Chargers in his debut, so which means the Broncos are on alert, saying, okay, we can't underestimate this team underneath Dart, and especially now that they beat the Eagles. They embarrassed them, and Dart looked really good against a team, especially a defense that's coached under Vic Fangio, which we know is really, really good. So there should be no surprises there. We know what we're going up against, except Jonathan Cooper, who really had some interesting trash talk to say. He said he's a young guy regarding Jackson Dart. He's feeling himself a little bit. He's out there running around. He's got the chain on. He's dancing. I feel like everybody needs something. You know, we went against QBs who ran around in the pocket and who've tried to do stuff with their legs. So that's ain't nothing haven't seen. I think people have like described this as like, oh, these are fighting words for the defense. That, you know, Vance Joseph isn't scared of anybody. The defense isn't scared of anybody because Justin Fields had -10 passing yards against the Jets or against the Broncos. It's interesting though to see them talk with this much confidence. They don't seem scared at all by the Giants. But should they maybe proceed with more trepidation, or should they just enjoy the confidence of this defense that they've earned at this point?
Well, for starters, I think going into a game with confidence has a lot of significance towards if you're able to win that game. If you go into something nervous, it's going to affect how you perform and how you play. So coming into this performance and coming into this game with confidence and with excitement about getting to play this team, that's going to show on the field. And we've seen, not only Cooper talking about that kind of thing, but other players show confidence and show excitement about games coming up in the future. That shows on the field. And so I think having that confidence and having that excitement to face a frisky New York Giants team is going to benefit the Broncos a lot. I will say, though, I think they need to be prepared for, I keep using this word, a frisky Giants team. You have no idea what this team is capable of. I mean, they're putting a different style of play out on the field every single week.
Yeah.
Like 1 week, it's giving the ball to Cam Scatterbo every snap and letting him bowling ball every single defender that he runs up into the backfield against.
Yeah.
Other days, it's letting Jackson Dart get a little bit more comfortable outside of the pocket. And you even see him start to resemble his teammates, Cam Scatterbo. He's leveling his head down, and he's starting to become more of a heavy-hitting quarterback. This team is doing something different every week, and I think they're probably looking at the Denver Broncos film, looking at the defense, and figuring out how they're going to attack the number one pass rush in the league. They're probably going to let Jackson Dart get a little bit more comfortable throwing the ball in the pocket. They're probably going to let Cam Scatterbo run the ball and try to get through the pass rush a lot more. Yeah. And so I think the Broncos have to come into this game with the mindset of, even though this might not be a high-ranking team in the league, even though we're at home and we play well at home, we need to bring our A-plus game, and we cannot let a frisky Giants team try to sneak out a win against us. Because if you look at how they performed against the Jets, and if you even go back and you look at how they performed against like the Titans or the Colts or the Chargers, I think the Giants are winning those games. Yeah. And so they need to put a masterclass of a performance out on the field. And just go back a few more minutes to something that you said about how we need an offensive explosion of a game. We need an offensive explosion of a game against a strong team. Yeah. The only offensive explosion that we've had, so to say, was against a, let's face it, struggling Cincinnati Bengals team that is missing their starting quarterback and has one of the worst pass rushes and secondaries in the league. Yeah. It's going to be a lot harder of a problem for the Broncos to have an offensive explosion against the Giants. They're more than capable of doing it, but it needs to happen in their best possible form, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And the fact that offensively there are these struggles. We get leads, then we blow them. The Colts and Chargers games are 2 losses of the season. Feel very frustrating because, one, they were last-second field goals, but at the same time, they felt like blown games. Those are games that we should have won. You could easily make an argument that the Broncos should be 6-0 right now.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things.
They're 2 plays away from being 6-0. Yeah, literally 2 plays.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I want to give specifically the Colts and Justin Herbert credit. They are playing really well outside of just those Broncos games. It's not like we were going up against some random. We are taking care of business. The teams that we're supposed to beat, we are beating right now. The Colts, we thought was one of those teams, turned out to be leading the AFC and has the 1 seed right now. So there's no shame necessarily right now in losing to that team, even though we should have won. It's just one of those circumstances that the Broncos have to be tired of, not just those specific games, but the fact that the offense isn't living up to what the defense is doing. A complementary football game is really what this Broncos team needs, outside of like that Bengals game where it felt like we were facing a peewee team. It didn't really seem like a normal football game. And so I think a lot of folks are wondering, when can we expect the full Broncos team that we were expecting in this offseason? And I want to go here to Troy Renck from the Denver Post. He said, teams that play deep into January don't rank in the middle of the pack or worse in every meaningful offensive category. The reason this is the case, Nix and Payton are not in rhythm. For every eye-opening corner, there has been a dizzying amount of punts. Nix admitted Wednesday that it was a relief when Ingram converted a first down on the game-winning drive last Sunday. Nix needs to go fast, at least for the foreseeable future. He was 11 for 15 for 96 yards in up-tempo against the Jets. According to Next Gen Stats, He excels at the quick hitters, not surprisingly, since he mastered it over his final 2 years at Oregon. The Jets and the Giants are not the same defensively, but they have this in common. They bring the heat. And that's a really important aspect of Bo Nix's game that I like to mention, is that I mentioned it on the live stream. When Bo is being rushed and he rolls out to whether it's the right or left, I feel more confident in Bo in those circumstances than when he's just in a pocket sometimes. It feels like he still has trouble setting his feet, having confidence in his steps. And I think Sean is kind of trying to figure out where Bo is in his development as a quarterback, as an NFL quarterback. And maybe that's where some of the anxiety for Broncos fans feel, is we don't know where Bo is and where Sean is as a collective, as a team, because sometimes we'll see them arguing on the sideline. Sometimes we'll see them, really doesn't seem like they're on the same page what the play call was. And now I think the Giants, this is a really good chance not to experiment necessarily, but to really prove, okay, we are on the same page here. This is an offense that can compete in the playoffs in January. And we're not having our defense bail us out every time. But I want to ask you, do you have confidence in this offense developing throughout this season and getting better, or do you think this is more of a sign of things to come?
No, I have a lot of confidence in this offense developing, and I think that this week and also next week against the Cowboys, just kind of these next 2 weeks that we have coming up, I think this is like the final phase of the progression of getting right this season, if you will.
Yeah.
If you look at the timeline of this season, you start out, and after week 1, you get 2 straight losses. Phase 1 is turning that around, turning the tide, and getting right.
Yeah.
You do that against the Bengals, and then you essentially gain your confidence back, and then now realize that you have to take that win against a very struggling team in the NFL, and you have to put that towards better teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be lying if I said that I didn't firmly believe that the Broncos were scheduled to lose against the Eagles. I was not confident that they were going to get a win, but they proved me wrong, and I am all smiles about it. That was phase 2, was shocking the world and showing that you are capable of beating the reigning Super Bowl champion.
Right.
Now, the last phase of this so-called progression that I'm speaking of is you need to take everything that you've learned and everything that you've struggled all the way through 6 weeks of football. You need to mesh it and gel it all together, and you need to put it on the field against the Giants, and you need to dominate against them. And that's what I think the Broncos offense is capable of.
Yeah.
And I think over these next 2 weeks, we're really going to see everything kind of mold and gel together.
Yeah, and this is what we mean by a golden opportunity, is the fact that they are at home finally again, where they've been on the road for quite a while now, and it really does feel like they perform stronger, at home, as most teams do, but at the same time, it feels like there's an extra boost to this team, an extra level of confidence that they gain by being surrounded by, the Mile High Company. So I think that we are due for just a really satisfying win. I mean, the Eagles game, don't get me wrong, was very satisfying, but it was obviously a nail biter, something that we just got out by the skin of our teeth. I think the Giants game is going to be a statement game, one way or another, knowing really where we are. Listen, the Jets gave us a scare. It's London. We're overseas. That's whatever. But now you're back home. You elected to not take a bye and say, okay, listen, I trust this team. We're back where we should be. We're going to take care of business once again, and then go against another really high-powered offense and really test what this offense is like with the Cowboys. So I really am anticipating the offense exploding finally, because Marvin Mims, really waiting for him to break out. And we've had moments with RJ Harvery. We've had moments with Troy Franklin. We've had moments with Evan Ingram. We've had moments with all these different players that we've been really excited about in the offseason. But there's no specific moment where it feels like it all comes together. And I feel like this Giants game is a great opportunity, because people underestimate the Giants. They underestimated them against the Eagles. They proved them wrong. So the Broncos are not going to be surprised by them in any way. There should be no surprises in this game. We have to take advantage of home field and really get things done on Sunday. But overall, I feel confident in this Broncos team. They had their scare in London. They got past it, and now it's time to really handle business going forward. But any final thoughts for this game going forward?
Like we've talked about, I think we're finally going to see an offensive dominant breakout game. I mean, you look at last season, and as a Broncos fan, if you're following the team, a few plays come to mind as what the Broncos are more than capable of. In the Bengals game last year, those two remarkable throws to Marvin Mims, one of
Yeah.
them to tie the game when the clock ran out in the fourth quarter. We haven't seen plays like that. We haven't seen deep ball completions from Bo Nix really this year,
No.
besides one. I think it was like a 52-yard touchdown pass to Courtland Sutton against the
Yeah.
Chargers.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Bo Nix rush for more than 20 yards, whereas last year we saw him rushing for 30, 40 yards per game sometimes. And I think that he needs to get more comfortable with coming out of the pocket and running for first downs more. And I think that all of this in mind, combined with hopefully, fingers crossed, efficient play calling from Sean Payton, it's all going to get put on the table against the Giants, and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, yeah. I have no doubt that the Broncos will put their best foot forward, that they're not taking the win against the Jets for granted. And I think that there's going to be a lot of anticipation for the players themselves to be like, okay, that wasn't our best showing, and we still got out with a win. Let's actually put our best game forward against a Giants team that, listen, maybe people are too high on, and let's show them who they really are and who we really are. So I do think that this is a really great opportunity that the Broncos have in front of them, and it's just a matter of whether they take it or not. And I think we will. You think the same thing. And now the question is for Broncos fans who are watching, do you think that the Broncos fans will take care of business this Sunday? And how confident are you going forward in the AFC West? We are tied record-wise with the Chargers. They have the tiebreaker for now, but they're dealing with their own injury stuff. They barely survived against the Dolphins. I'm going to be honest, I'm more scared of the Chiefs at this point than I am of the Chargers. The
Absolutely.
Chiefs, yeah.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, the Chiefs
I've talked about it on this channel a few times how like the beginning of the season was like something out of a nightmare.
Yeah.
That for some teams, but everything has come back down to reality. The
Yep.
Chiefs are now a team to worry about. The Chargers are still a team to worry about. But like aspects of this season that people were shocked by aren't necessarily the case anymore, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Like the first 2 weeks, people were like, "Oh, should the Raiders be, interesting? Should we worry about them?" No, no one's worried about the Raiders anymore. And now the Chargers dealing with the injury bug again. They are kind of falling apart at the seams, trying to keep things together. But the Chiefs are regaining their confidence. They got Rashee Rice back, coming back this week. So I think that the Christmas game should be very interesting for those who are willing to put themselves through that torture on Christmas. So anyway, I am anticipating Broncos and Chiefs to be a slugfest, just like the second game with the Broncos and Chargers. But I think the Broncos are well in the mix, that the Jets is not a showing of who they are. So anyway, I'm very excited about what's going to be happening this weekend. I'm sure Broncos fans are anticipating getting back from this Jets game and really putting our best game forward. So anyway, until then, we are thankful for everyone who's watching. Subscribe, like, comment. Tell me what you are thinking about this game. We just hit 300 subscribers. We're trying to build towards 500 right now. So get on the train, get on there, and we'll be doing more live streams, everything going forward. But I want to thank Mark for joining us, and we're going to keep making videos and keep doing these great content videos. But until then, we'll see you in the next video.